Obioma was in shock. She handed over her phone and the little money she had, tears streaming down her face. They took her purse, which had Martha's address in it, and pushed her out of the bus, throwing her bag after her. Help! Somebody help me! Obioma screamed, but the bus sped away. Obioma was a beautiful girl with bright eyes and a charming smile. She lived in a small village with her parents and younger siblings. Life in the village was peaceful, but Obioma had bigger dreams. She wanted to go to the city and make a lot of money. Her best friend from childhood, Martha, had already moved to Lagos after their senior high school. Obioma missed her friend and wanted to join her. One sunny afternoon, Obioma sat on the porch of her family's small house, thinking about her future. Her mother, Mama Obioma, was in the kitchen cooking yam porridge. The smell of the delicious food filled the air. Obioma, come and help me in the kitchen, her mother called out. Obioma sighed and walked into the kitchen. Mama, I have been thinking, she began. Her mother looked at her with a concerned expression. What is it, my daughter? I want to go to the city. I want to join Martha in Lagos, Obioma said firmly. Her mother stopped stirring the pot and looked at her daughter with wild eyes. Why do you want to go to the city? There are many things you can do here. You can learn a skill and then go back to school. Obioma shook her head. Mama, I don't want to stay in the village. I want to make money and live a better life. Just then, Obioma's father, Papa Obioma, walked into the kitchen. He was a tall man with a kind face. What are you two talking about? He asked. Obioma says she wants to go to the city. Mama Obioma explained. Papa Obioma frowned. Obioma, the city is not easy. There are many challenges. You should stay here and learn a skill instead. But Papa, I don't want to stay in the village forever. I want to go to Lagos and find a good job, Obioma insisted. Her father sighed. We are just worried about you. The city can be dangerous. Obioma nodded but remained determined. I'll be careful, Papa. I told Martha about it the last time she came to the village, and she said I can stay with her. Her parents exchanged worried glances. They knew how stubborn Obioma could be. We just want you to be safe, her mother said softly. I understand, Mama, but I need to do this, Obioma replied. In the days that followed, Obioma began to prepare for her journey. She packed her clothes and saved up the little money she had. She also spent time with her friends in the village, including a boy named Obina. Obina had been her boyfriend since high school, but Obioma felt it was time to move on. One evening, Obioma and Obina sat under a large mango tree, watching the sunset. The sky was painted with beautiful shades of orange and pink. Obioma, I heard you are going to the city, Obina said, breaking the silence. Yes, I am, Obioma replied. But why? Why do you want to leave the village? Obina asked, his voice filled with sadness. I want a better life, Obina. I want to go and make money and help my family, Obioma explained. Obina looked down at the ground. What about us? What about our relationship? Obioma took a deep breath. Obina, I don't think we can continue dating. I don't want to be with a village boy. I need someone who can understand my dreams and ambitions. Obina's heart sank. But I love you, Obioma. We have been together for so long. I know, and I care about you too. But this is something I have to do for myself, Obioma said gently. Obina nodded slowly. I understand. I just want you to be happy. Thank you, Obina. I hope you find happiness too, Obioma replied. The next morning, Obioma called Martha to tell her about her plans. She was excited but also nervous. Martha was thrilled to hear from her friend. Obioma, it's been so long. How have you been? Martha exclaimed over the phone. I have been fine, Martha. I miss you a lot, Obioma said. I miss you too. What's new? Martha asked. I want to move to Lagos. I want to join you in the city, Obioma announced. That's wonderful. You can stay with me. I will send you my address, Martha said excitedly. Thank you so much, Martha. I can't wait to see you, Obioma replied. In the days leading up to her departure, Obioma's parents continued to warn her about the challenges of city life. They wanted her to stay in the village and learn a skill, but Obioma's mind was made up. Obioma, remember to be careful. The city is not like the village, her father reminded her. I will be careful, Papa. Don't worry, Obioma assured him. Her mother hugged her tightly. We love you, my daughter. Please stay safe. I love you too, Mama. I will call you as soon as I reach Lagos, Obioma promised. The day finally arrived for Obioma to leave for the city. She packed her bags and said goodbye to her family and friends. As she walked to the bus station, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She knew this journey would change her life forever. Goodbye, Obina. Take care of yourself, Obioma said as she hugged her former boyfriend. Goodbye, Obioma. I wish you all the best, Obina replied, trying to hide his tears. Obioma boarded the bus and took a seat by the window. She looked out at the village she had known all her life. She knew she would miss it, but she was ready for a new adventure. As the bus started moving, Obioma's heart raced with anticipation. She couldn't wait to reunite with Martha and start her new life in Lagos. She knew there would be challenges, but she was determined to face them head on. Obioma's journey to the city had just begun, and she was ready to embrace whatever came her way. Her parents' warnings echoed in her mind, but she believed in herself and her dreams. She was confident that she would make a better life for herself and her family. The road to Lagos was long and winding, but Obioma's spirit remained strong. She looked forward to the new opportunities and experiences that awaited her in the bustling city. With a hopeful heart and a determined mind, Obioma set out on her journey to the city, ready to make her dreams come true. Obioma arrived in Lagos late at night, the city lights twinkling like stars in the distance. The bus station was crowded, with people hurrying in different directions. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She took out her phone and called Martha, but the call didn't go through. She tried again and again, but Martha's number wasn't connecting. Obioma grew anxious. Why isn't Martha picking up? She muttered to herself. She looked around, hoping to spot someone who could help her. With no other choice, she decided to head to Martha's address by herself. She boarded a bus heading to Martha's area, gripping her purse tightly. The bus was half full, with tired faces staring out the windows. Obioma found a seat and settled in, hoping the journey would go smoothly. However, halfway to her destination, the bus came to an abrupt halt. Why is the bus stopping? She wondered aloud. The driver turned off the engine, and the lights inside the bus dimmed. The passengers started whispering among themselves, and Obioma's heart began to race. Suddenly, the man sitting behind her leaned forward and whispered in a menacing tone, Give me your phone and all the money you have. Obioma's eyes widened in fear. Please, sir, I need my phone, she pleaded softly, her voice trembling. The man's face twisted in anger. Na beg you dey beg. Give me your phone now. He slapped her hard, causing her to cry out in pain. Another man appeared beside her, grabbing her purse and yanking it away. Oya, give us everything you get. Obioma was in shock. She handed over her phone and the little money she had, tears streaming down her face. They took her purse, which had Martha's address in it, and pushed her out of the bus, throwing her bag after her. Help! Somebody help me! Obioma screamed, but the bus sped away, leaving her alone on the deserted road. It was 11 p.m., and the night was quiet. She looked around, shivering in the cold, unsure of what to do next. Obioma started walking down the lonely path, tears blurring her vision. She felt lost and scared. Few cars passed by, but none stopped to help her. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stay warm, as she continued walking aimlessly. After what felt like hours, she stumbled upon a busy street. Groups of young men were hanging around, drinking and smoking. They looked rough and intimidating. Obioma tried to walk past them quietly, hoping not to attract their attention. Who goes there? One of the boys shouted, causing Obioma to freeze in her tracks. Stop right there. Obioma's heart pounded in her chest. She tried to run, but another boy blocked her path. Where you dey go? He demanded. Please, I just want to go home. Obioma begged, her voice shaking. Who you be? Wetin you dey do for our area? Another boy asked, stepped closer. Obioma was too scared to speak. Just as they were about to drag her away, a car pulled over, and a man stepped out. Good evening, boys. Na wetin dey happen here? He asked calmly. The boys turned to look at him. Nothing, oga. We just dey check who she be. The man looked at Obioma and then back at the boys. Ah, Grace. Na you be this. I don dey find you since. Come, make we go house. The leader of the boys frowned. You sabi her? Yes, na my sister wey come from village. The man lied smoothly. The boys relaxed. Sorry, boss. We no know say she be your sister oh. No wahala. The man said, waving them off. Make una no worry. Obioma quickly got into the car, her hands still trembling. The man, whose name was Mr. Stephen, drove away from the area and stopped at a safer spot. He turned to Obioma, his face full of concern. Are you okay? He asked gently. Obioma nodded, wiping her tears. Thank you so much. I don't know what would have happened if you didn't show up. What's your name? And what are you doing out here so late? Mr. Stephen inquired. My name is Obioma. I came to Lagos to meet my friend Martha, but I couldn't reach her. I got on a bus and then this man robbed me and threw me out, she explained, her voice breaking. Mr. Stephen sighed. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Lagos can be dangerous at night. I lost everything, my phone, my money, even the address to Martha's place. Obioma said, feeling hopeless. Don't worry, you are safe now. I will take you to a hotel for tonight. Tomorrow, we can figure out how to find your friend, Mr. Stephen assured her. Obioma nodded gratefully. Thank you, sir. You have been very kind. Mr. Stephen smiled. It's no problem. By the way, my name is Stephen, and I am a doctor. I was just coming back from work when I saw you. Obioma felt a glimmer of hope. Thank you so much, Dr. Stephen. I don't know how to repay you. You don't need to repay me. Just stay safe and be careful, he replied warmly. As Mr. Stephen drove towards a nearby hotel, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and saw it was his wife, Annabel. He quickly answered the call. Hello, my love, he said warmly. Stephen, what's keeping you? It's getting late. Annabel's concerned voice came through the phone. I know, honey. I'm on my way, but I had to help someone. I'll explain everything when I get home. I promise I won't be long, he assured her. Okay, please be safe. See you soon. Annabel said before hanging up. Obioma sat in the car, still shaken by the day's events. She kept replaying the moment she was robbed and thrown out of the bus. When they reached the hotel, she hoped to find a place to rest. However, the receptionist shook his head apologetically. I'm so sorry, sir, but we are fully booked. It's Friday night and all the rooms are taken, he explained. Mr. Stevens sighed and turned to Obioma. Let's try another hotel. Don't worry, we will find something, he said encouragingly. They drove to another hotel, but it was the same story, no vacancy. The receptionist at the hotel informed them. Obioma's heart sank. They tried a third hotel, but it was also full. The night was getting darker, and Obioma was exhausted and anxious. Mr. Stephen glanced at his watch and then at Obioma. It's very late, and it seems all the hotels are booked. Would you be okay coming to my house for tonight? My wife Annabel is home, and you can continue your journey in the morning, he suggested kindly. Obioma felt a wave of relief wash over her. Thank you so much, Dr. Stephen. I appreciate your kindness, she said gratefully. Mr. Stephen smiled and nodded. All right then, let's head home. They drove through the quiet streets of Lagos, and soon they arrived at a cozy house with a small garden in front. Mr. Stephen parked the car and helped Obioma with her bag. As they walked to the front door, Annabel opened it, looking curious and slightly worried. Stephen, you are finally home. Who is this young lady? She asked, her eyes widening in surprise. Annabel, this is Obioma. She had a rough night. She came to Lagos to see her friend, but got robbed and stranded. I found her in a difficult situation and couldn't leave her alone, Stephen explained. Annabel's expression softened, and she looked at Obioma with sympathy. Oh, you poor thing, come in, she said warmly. Obioma greeted her politely. Good evening, ma. Thank you for having me. Annabel smiled and took her hand. You are welcome there. I'm Annabel. Let's get you settled in. You must be exhausted. Annabel led Obioma to a cozy room downstairs. The room was small but comfortable, with a soft bed and clean sheets. This is your room for tonight. Make yourself at home, Annabel said kindly. Thank you so much, ma. You are very kind, Obioma said, feeling a bit more at ease. Are you hungry? I can get you something to eat, Annabel offered. Obioma's stomach growled at the mention of food. Yes, please. I haven't eaten anything since, she admitted. Annabel nodded and went to the kitchen, quickly preparing a plate of rice and stew. She brought it to Obioma, who thanked her again and started eating. The food was delicious, and Obioma felt grateful for the kindness she had received. After eating, Obioma felt more relaxed. She thanked Annabel once more and decided to rest. She lay down on the bed, pulling the blanket over herself. As she closed her eyes, she whispered a prayer of thanks to God for bringing Mr. Stephen and Annabel her way. Despite the fear of uncertainty she felt, she found comfort in the kindness of strangers. Meanwhile, Stephen and Annabel were in their bedroom, talking about Obioma. I can't believe what she went through. Lagos can be harsh for newcomers, Annabel said, shaking her head. Yes, it's really unfortunate. I'm just glad I was able to help her. I can't imagine what would have happened if I hadn't been there, Stephen replied. Annabel sighed. I hope she finds her friend tomorrow. She seems like a sweet girl. She does. We'll do our best to help her in the morning, Stephen said, squeezing Annabel's hand. Back in her room, Obioma couldn't stop thinking about her family and her decision to come to Lagos. She missed her parents and wondered if they were worried about her. She thought about Martha and hoped she could find her the next day. As she drifted off to sleep, she felt a mix of emotions, fear, hope, and gratitude. The night passed peacefully, and Obioma slept soundly, despite everything she had been through. The kindness of Stephen and Annabel had given her a sense of safety and comfort. She knew that the next day would bring new challenges, but she was ready to face them with renewed strength. The next morning, Obioma woke up early. The house was quiet, and the first rays of the sun were just starting to peek through the windows. She decided to make herself useful and began cleaning the house. She swept the floors, dusted the furniture, and tidied up the living room. She wanted to show her gratitude to Mr. Stephen and Annabel for their kindness. After she finished cleaning, Obioma went back to her room and waited for Annabel and Mr. Stephen to wake up. She sat on the bed, thinking about her family and wondering how they were doing. She missed them, but knew she had to stay strong and make the best of her situation. After a little while, Annabel knocked on her door and peeked in. "Good morning, Obioma. How did you sleep?" she asked with a warm smile. "Good morning, ma. I slept very well, thank you," Obioma replied, standing up to greet her. Annabel walked into the room and looked around. "You have cleaned the house already. That's so kind of you, Obioma. Thank you." Obioma smiled shyly. "It's the least I could do to show my gratitude." Annabel nodded. "Come, let's go to the kitchen and prepare breakfast." They went to the kitchen and started preparing breakfast together. Obioma felt a sense of comfort walking alongside Annabel. They made scrambled eggs, toast, and brewed some tea. The kitchen filled with the delicious aroma of food, and soon Mr. Stephen joined them at the dining table. "Good morning, ladies," he greeted them cheerfully. "Good morning, Dr. Stephen," Obioma replied, smiling. "Morning there," Annabel said, setting the table. As they sat down to eat, Mr. Stephen turned to Obioma. "So, Obioma, what's your plan for finding Martha, your friend?" Obioma's smile faded a little. "I don't know, sir. I lost her address when I was robbed. I don't have any way to locate her except to go back to the village and ask around." Annabel looked thoughtful. "What if you stayed here with us? You could work for us, and we could help you get back on your feet." Obioma's eyes lit up with hope. "Really? I would love that. Thank you so much." Mr. Stephen nodded. "We would be happy to have you stay with us, Obioma. You have shown you are hardworking and respectful." Obioma felt a surge of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. I promise to work hard and be a good girl." After breakfast, Annabel suggested they go to the market to buy groceries. "We need to stock up on some supplies. Would you like to come with me, Obioma?" "Yes, ma. I would love to," Obioma replied. They drove to the market, which was bustling with activity. Vendors called out to customers, selling everything from fresh vegetables to household items. Obioma and Annabel walked through the market, picking out groceries and chatting. "How was life back in the village?" Annabel asked as they shopped. "It was simple but good. My parents are farmers, and I have two younger siblings," Obioma said, smiling at the memory. "And what about a boyfriend? Do you have one?" Annabel inquired, smiling. "Yes, Obina was my boyfriend, but I broke up with him because I wanted to come to Lagos and make a better life for myself," Obioma explained. Annabel nodded. "I understand. Sometimes we have to make difficult decisions for our future." Obioma nodded. "Yes, ma. I just hope I made the right choice." Annabel patted her shoulder. "You are doing fine, Obioma. You are a strong young lady." They finished their shopping and returned home with bags full of groceries. Back at the house, they began preparing meals together. Annabel showed Obioma how to cook different dishes and store them in the freezer. They laughed and chatted as they walked, and Obioma felt more at ease. "You know, Obioma, I run a tech company. I usually work from home," Annabel said, stirring a pot of stew. "Wow, that's amazing, ma," Obioma replied, impressed. "It keeps me busy, but I enjoy it. And having you around will be a big help," Annabel said with a smile. "I'll do my best to help, ma." Obioma promised. As they continued cooking, Annabel shared more about her life and work. Obioma listened eagerly, fascinated by the new world she was now a part of. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the kindness and support of Annabel and Mr. Stephen were showing her. In the evening, they all sat down for dinner. The table was filled with delicious food they had prepared together. Obioma felt a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in a long time. Thank you for everything, ma, sir, Obioma said, looking at Annabel and Mr. Stephen. I don't know what I would have done without your help. We are happy to have you here, Obioma. You are part of our family now. Annabel replied warmly. Mr. Stephen nodded. That's right. We are glad you are here with us. After dinner, they cleaned up and talked a bit more before heading to bed. Obioma felt a sense of peace and hope as she lay down. She knew she had found a safe place and good people who cared about her. As she drifted off to sleep, Obioma thought about her family and hoped they were well. She also thought about Martha and hoped she would be able to find her friend someday. For now, she was grateful for the new beginning and the kindness she had received. On Monday morning, Obioma woke up early as usual. She had been living with Mr. Stephen and Annabel for a few days now, and she felt more at home with each passing day. She tidied up her room and then moved to the living room to clean. As she dusted the shelves, she thought about how kind Annabel and Mr. Stephen had been to her. After breakfast, Mr. Stephen left for work. He was always cheerful and kind, making sure to ask Obioma how she was doing every morning before he left. Have a great day, Obioma, he said with a smile as he grabbed his briefcase. Thank you, sir, you too, Obioma replied, waving as he walked out of the door. Annabel turned to Obioma after Mr. Stephen had left. Obioma, I have a surprise for you today. We are going shopping for some new clothes and other things you might need. Obioma's eyes widened in surprise. Really? Ma, thank you so much, she exclaimed, unable to hide her excitement. Of course, you deserve it. Let's get ready to go, Annabel said with a warm smile. They headed to a nearby dress store. Obioma felt like a princess as she tried on different dresses. Annabel helped her pick out several outfits, making sure she had everything she needed. They chose beautiful dresses, comfortable shoes, and other important items. How do you like this dress, Obioma? Annabel asked, holding up a bright blue dress. It's beautiful, ma. Thank you, Obioma replied, beaming. Annabel smiled. I'm glad you like it. Let's get a few more things and then we'll go to the salon. After they finished shopping for clothes, Annabel took Obioma to a salon. The stylists there were friendly and welcoming. They washed and styled Obioma's hair, giving her a fresh new look. Wow, you look amazing, Annabel said as Obioma admired her new hairstyle in the mirror. Thank you, ma. I feel so happy, Obioma said, tears of joy welling up in her eyes. Annabel hugged her gently. You deserve it, Obioma. Let's get you a small phone and a SIM card so you can stay in touch with us and your family. They stopped by a phone store and bought a simple phone and a SIM card for Obioma. She was thrilled to have a way to contact her family and friends again. She couldn't stop thanking Annabel for all her kindness. When they got home, Obioma sat on her bed, surrounded by her new clothes and shoes. She smiled as she looked at all the beautiful things Annabel had bought for her. Thank you, God, for bringing me here, she whispered, feeling truly blessed. From that day on, Obioma made a promise to herself. She would do her best to make sure she never disappointed Annabel or Mr. Stephen. She took her responsibility serious and made sure the house was always clean and tidy. She cooked meals, did the laundry, and took care of everything in the house with a joyful heart. Annabel noticed Obioma's dedication and appreciated her hard work. You are doing a wonderful job, Obioma. Thank you for everything you do, Annabel said one evening as they were having dinner. Thank you, Ma. I am happy to help, Obioma replied, smiling. Months passed, and Obioma settled into her new life. She didn't think about matter as much anymore because she felt safe and cared for in her new home. She was always cheerful and made sure to do her best in all her tasks. One day, Annabel sat down with Obioma after lunch. Obioma, Stephen and I want you to know how much we appreciate your hard work. You have become a part of our family. Obioma felt a warm glow in her heart. Thank you, Ma. You and Dr. Stephen have been so kind to me. I'm grateful for everything. We are happy to have you with us, and we want to make sure you are taken care of. So we'll continue paying you at the end of every month, Annabel said. Thank you so much, Ma. I promise to always do my best, Obioma replied, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. Annabel smiled. I know you will. Now let's finish cleaning up and then we can relax a bit. Obioma nodded and went back to her chores, feeling a deep sense of contentment. She knew she was in good hands and that she had a bright future ahead. Each day, she worked with a happy heart, knowing that she was valued and appreciated. As the weeks turned into months, Obioma continued to excel in her duties. She learned new skills from Annabel and even started helping with small tasks related to Annabel's tech company. Annabel often worked from home, and Obioma was always eager to assist in any way she could. Obioma, can you help me organize these files? Annabel asked one afternoon. Of course, Ma, Obioma replied, quickly getting to work. You are very efficient. I'm glad to have you around, Annabel said, smiling as she watched Obioma work. Thank you, Ma. I'm happy to help, Obioma said, feeling proud of her work. Life in Lagos continued smoothly for Obioma. She had settled into a routine, and the days passed by peacefully. One sunny afternoon, as Obioma was dusting the living room, she heard a knock at the door. Annabel was in her study, working on some documents. Obioma quickly wiped her hands on her apron and went to open the door. Standing there was a man with a tired, grumpy look on his face. He had a bag slung over his shoulder and looked like he had just arrived from a long journey. Hello, can I help you? Obioma asked politely. Is this Stephen's house? The man asked, peering past her into the house. Yes, it is, and you are? Obioma replied. I'm Kelvin, Stephen's big brother. Is he home? The man said, pushing past Obioma and entering the house without waiting for an invitation. Obioma was taken aback by his rudeness, but managed to say, No, sir, he's at work. Please, come in and make yourself comfortable. Kelvin dropped his bag in the hallway and walked into the living room, looking around with a critical eye. Annabel heard the commotion and came out to see what was happening. She was surprised to see Kelvin. Kelvin, what are you doing here? Annabel asked, her voice filled with surprise. Ah, Annabel, I thought I would pay my little brother a visit. Don't I have rights to come here? Kelvin replied, sitting down heavily on the couch. Of course you do. It's just that we weren't expecting you, Annabel said, trying to hide her annoyance. Kelvin shrugged. Surprises are good sometimes. Where is Stephen? He'll be back in the evening. Let me get you something to eat, Annabel said, motioning for Obioma to follow her into the kitchen. As they prepared a meal for Kelvin, Annabel whispered to Obioma, He can be difficult, but just be patient, okay? Yes, ma, Obioma replied, trying to hide her worry. That evening, Mr. Stephen returned home and was surprised to see his brother. Kelvin, why didn't you tell us you were coming? He asked. Kelvin leaned back on the couch and spread his arms. Do I need to announce my visit? This is my brother's house, isn't it? Stephen sighed but didn't argue. All right, let's get you settled in. You can stay in the second guest room downstairs.
From that day on, Kelvin's presence began to change the atmosphere in the house. Obioma was the first to feel the impact. Kelvin started making her life a living hell. Each meal she served him was met with complaints. "This soup is too salty," he would shout. "The spices are all wrong." Obioma would have to cook and recook meals, trying her best to meet his impossible standards. Sometimes, after she served him, Kelvin would deliberately spill water on the floor and call her to clean it up. "Hurry up, you village girl. Can't you do anything right?" he would sneer. One day, as Obioma was cleaning the living room, Kelvin walked in and began scattering things around. He knocked over a vase and then yelled, "Look at the mess you have made. Clean this up immediately." Obioma bent down to pick up the pieces, her hands trembling with frustration. "Yes, sir," she replied quietly, holding back tears. Kelvin's treatment didn't stop there. He would insult her, calling her a charity case and a village girl. Obioma kept all the torture to herself because she didn't want to cause troubles between Mr. Stephen and his brother. She hoped Kelvin would get tired of tormenting her and leave soon. One evening, after Obioma had cooked a pot of soup, Kelvin sneaked into the kitchen and poured a large amount of salt into it. When Mr. Stephen tasted the soup at dinner, he frowned. "Obioma, what's going on? This soup is too salty. You are becoming careless." Obioma's heart sank. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't know how that happened," she said, feeling helpless. Annabel noticed the changes too. The house was becoming dirtier, and food was going bad more often. One day, she pulled Obioma aside and asked, "Obioma, what's happening? The house isn't as clean as it used to be, and the food isn't as good. Is something wrong?" Obioma shook her head quietly. "No, ma, everything is fine. I promise I will do better," she said, forcing a smile. But inside, Obioma was deeply troubled. She couldn't understand why Kelvin was treating her so badly. She had tried her best to be respectful and hardworking, but nothing seemed to please him. She lay awake at night, thinking about his cruelty and wondering what she could do to make things better. Despite the ongoing torment, Obioma continued to work diligently. She didn't want to let Annabel and Mr. Stephen down. She woke up early each morning, cleaned the house, and prepared meals, all while enduring Kelvin's harsh treatment. One day, while cleaning Kelvin's room, Obioma found herself crying quietly. She quickly wiped her tears when she heard footsteps approaching. Kelvin entered the room and sneered at her. "Crying? Are we? That won't get you anywhere, village girl." Obioma didn't respond. She kept her head down and continued her work, determined not to let him see how much his words hurt her. Days turned into weeks, and Kelvin's mistreatment of Obioma continued unabated. He made her life a living nightmare with his constant demands and harsh words. Obioma did her best to bear it silently, hoping that he would get tired, but it only seemed to get worse. One day, when Annabel and Mr. Stephen were out of the house, Obioma reached her breaking point. She decided to confront Kelvin. She found him lounging in the living room, sipping a drink and watching TV. "Mr. Kelvin, may I speak with you?" Obioma asked, her voice trembling but determined. Mr. Kelvin looked at her with a smile. "Ah, finally! The village girl finds her voice. What do you want?" Obioma took a deep breath. "What have I done to you? Why do you treat me like this?" Kelvin laughed, a cruel sound that sent shivers down her spine. "I have been waiting for this opportunity. You see, I have a mission for you. If you want peace in this house, you will have to obey my commands." Obioma's heart raced. "What do you want from me?" Kelvin leaned forward, his eyes glinting with malice. I have something I need you to put in Annabelle's and Stephen's food. Obioma's eyes widened in shock. You want me to poison them? My madam and my oga? Keep your voice down, Kelvin hissed, glancing around to ensure no one was listening. It's not poison. It won't hurt them. Just do as I say, and I will pay you 5 million naira after the job. Obioma looked at him with a mix of fear and disbelief. I'm sorry, but I can't do such a thing. They picked me up from the street and gave me a better life. You want me to betray them? I can't. I'm sorry, Mr. Kelvin. Kelvin moved closer, his face inches from hers. Then watch and see how you will be thrown out of this house. I will personally destroy you, trust me. He pushed her roughly before storming out of the room. Obioma's body shook with fear. She couldn't understand why Kelvin wanted to harm his brother and Annabel. She was so scared. As she went back to the kitchen, her mind racing, a little while later, Kelvin returned to the kitchen. If anyone hears about our conversation, I will personally kill you, he threatened, his eyes cold and menacing. Obioma nodded, heart pounding in her chest. She decided to keep quiet but couldn't stop thinking about what Kelvin had asked her to do. His words echoed in her mind, filling her with dread. Over the following days, Kelvin continued to torment Obioma, reminding her of his plan and pressuring her to comply. Obioma steadfastly refused, but the stress of the situation weighed heavily on her. One day, Kelvin cornered her at the back of the house. He grabbed her arm roughly, dragging her to a secluded spot. You need to do the job, or I will make you my scapegoat. Obioma looked at him with pleading eyes. Why are you doing this? Why do you hate Mr. Stephen so much? Kelvin's eyes twisted with anger. I hate that boy Stephen. Just because he went to school and got a better job. He thinks he's better than me. I want this house, their cars and everything to myself. I want to take care of my own family. But Mr. Stephen has been helping you, Obioma protested, trying to make sense of Kelvin's hatred. That small 100,000, 200,000. Is that what money? I have 6 children and he's giving me chicken change. Kelvin sneered. I want everything for myself. Obioma sighed, feeling a deep sense of despair. I can't help you, Mr. Kelvin. I can't betray the people who have been so kind to me. Kelvin's expression darkened. Then, I will find a way to do it myself and frame you for it. You will rot in jail. Obioma pulled away from him and ran to her room, locking the door behind her. She sank to the floor, her body wrecked with sobs. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't hurt Annabel and Mr. Stephen, but she was terrified of what Kelvin might do. Obioma decided she needed to tell Mr. Stephen and Annabel about Kelvin's plan before it was too late. But fear held her back. What if Kelvin made good on his threats? What if they didn't believe her? That night, as she lay in bed, Obioma prayed for strength and guidance. She knew she couldn't keep silent any longer. She had to protect the people who had given her a second chance at life. With a heavy heart, she resolved to find a way to warn Mr. Stephen and Annabel no matter the cost. The next day, Obioma woke up with a heavy heart. She knew she had to tell Mr. Stephen and Annabel about Kelvin's sinister plans. As she went about her morning chores, she devised a plan to reveal Kelvin's true nature. She decided to use some sleeping pills to put him to sleep, giving her the perfect opportunity to speak with her employers. That evening, she prepared dinner as usual, but added a few crushed sleeping pills to Mr. Kelvin's food. As they all sat down to eat, Obioma felt her heart pounding in her chest. She watched Kelvin closely, waiting for the pills to take effect. After dinner, Kelvin began to feel drowsy. I'm going to bed early tonight, he announced, his voice slurred. Good night, Mr. Kelvin, Obioma said, hiding her relief. Once Kelvin was fast asleep, Obioma knocked on Annabel and Stephen's door. Ma, sir, I need to speak with you. It's very important, she said urgently. Annabel and Stephen exchanged worried glances before inviting her in. What is it, Obioma? Stephen asked. Obioma took a deep breath and told them everything. She explained how Kelvin had been mistreating her and how he had asked her to poison them. At first, they looked at her in disbelief. Obioma, we know Kelvin can be difficult, but this is hard to believe, Stephen said, shaking his head. I swear, sir, it's the truth. He gave me a substance to put in your food. I couldn't do it. Please, try to believe me. Obioma pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Annabel put a comforting hand on Obioma's shoulder. If what you are saying is true, we need proof. Let's play along. I will pretend to poison your food. And you can act like it's working. We'll see how Kelvin reacts, Obioma suggested. Stephen hesitated but eventually nodded. All right, we'll do it. Let's see what happens. The next morning, Obioma approached Kelvin, who was still groggy from the sleeping pills. Mr. Kelvin, I have thought about what you said and I will do it. But you have to promise me the 5 million naira, she said. Kelvin's face lit up with a sinister grin. Of course, you will get your money. Here is the substance. Make sure you put it in their food exactly as I told you. Obioma took the packet from him, her hands shaking. She went to her room and switched the substance with a harmless powder. When she returned to the kitchen, Kelvin watched as she added the powder to the food. Good job, Obioma. Oya, serve them the food. I will be rid of them soon enough, Kelvin said, his eyes gleaming with malice. Obioma served the food to Annabel and Stephen, who ate it with smiles on their faces. An hour later, they started screaming, clutching their stomachs. My tummy, they cried, collapsing onto the floor. Kelvin and Obioma emerged from the kitchen, and Kelvin couldn't hide his delight. Finally, that boy and his wife are gone. Now I can have everything to myself. Obioma asked him about the money he promised, but Mr. Kelvin shut her up, saying she won't be getting a dime from him after killing his brother and his wife. Obioma watched in horror as Kelvin revealed his true feelings. You are a wicked man, Mr. Kelvin, she said quietly. Shut up. I'm going to call the police and report you for murder. You will rot in jail, Obioma. Kelvin sneered, pulling out his phone. Just then, Annabel and Stephen stood up. There is no need for that, Kelvin. We had everything, Stephen said, holding up a recorder. Obioma told us about your plan, and we didn't believe her at first. Now, we have all the proof we need. Kelvin's eyes turned pale. What? No, this can't be happening. Why are you so wicked, Kelvin? After everything I have done for you, why? Stephen asked, his voice filled with hurt. You think you are better than me because you went to school and got a good job. I hate you for it. I wanted everything you have. Kelvin spat, his eyes wild with rage. Stephen shook his head in disbelief. I have always tried to help you, Kelvin. I never thought you could stoop this low. Annabel quickly called the police, who arrived shortly and took Kelvin away in handcuffs. Thank you, Obioma, for saving us. We are grateful for your bravery, Annabel said, hugging her. Obioma's eyes filled with tears. I couldn't let anything happen to you. You have been so kind to me. Life gradually returned to normal after Kelvin's arrest. Obioma continued her work diligently, making sure to keep the house spotless and preparing delicious meals. Annabel and Stephen appreciated her more than ever, and they decided it was time for Obioma to focus on her education. Obioma, we want you to go back to school. You have a bright future ahead of you, Stephen said one evening. Obioma's eyes lit up. Thank you so much, sir. I will do my best to make you proud. While attending school, Obioma also helped Annabel with her tech company work from home. She learned new skills and gained confidence in her abilities. One day, after several years of hard work and dedication, Obioma ran into Martha on the street. Martha, is that you? Obioma called out, surprised to see her old friend. Obioma, oh my God, it's been so long, Martha exclaimed, hugging her tightly. They chat for a while, catching up on old times. Martha revealed that she had been involved in the hookup business, which shocked Obioma. I waited for you that day, but you never showed up, Martha said, shaking her head. I'm sorry, Martha. So much happened, but I'm surprised to see the kind of work you are doing now. You should stop, Obioma urged. Martha shook her head sadly. It's not that easy, Obioma. This is the life I have now. Obioma returned home and told Annabel about her encounter with Martha. I thank God that I didn't go to her that day I arrived in Lagos. If I had, I might have ended up in her situation. Annabel nodded. You have come a long way, Obioma. We are so proud of you. Years passed, and Obioma graduated from school, joining Annabel in her tech business. Annabel soon became pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Obioma too traveled back to her village to visit her family, who were overjoyed to see how successful she had become. During one of her visits to the village, Obioma bumped into Obina, who had just finished school and got a job at a big company in Abuja. They were both happy to see each other and decided to remain friends. Obioma, you have done so well for yourself. I am really proud of you, Obina said, smiling warmly. Thank you, Obina. I'm glad to see you are doing well too, Obioma replied. As they parted ways, Obioma felt a deep sense of contentment. She had faced many challenges, but had come out stronger. With the support of Annabel and Stephen, and her own determination, she had built a bright future for herself. And so, Obioma's journey came to a happy and fulfilling end, surrounded by the love and support of those who believed in her. Obioma's story teaches us some important lessons. First, it shows the power of kindness. When Obioma was in trouble, Mr. Stephen and Annabel helped her and treated her like family. This kindness gave Obioma a chance to have a better life. Secondly, it teaches us to be brave and honest. When Obioma found out about Kelvin's bad plans, she was very scared, but she decided to tell the truth to protect Mr. Stephen and his wife, even though it was dangerous for her. Thirdly, the story shows that hard work and determination can change our lives. Obioma worked very hard and learned new things. Because of her hard work, she was able to go to school and help Annabel with her business. Finally, it reminds us that bad actions have consequences. Kelvin tried to harm his brother and Annabel because of his jealousy. In the end, he was caught and punished for his actions. We should always be kind, brave, hardworking, and honest. These qualities help us live a good and happy life. Thank you for watching this amazing story about Obioma and her journey on African Stories. If you liked it and felt inspired, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.